Appiah Foundation. The Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah, one six Ghanaian footballers, and we're here to officially inaugurate the foundation. We will do our opening prayer before we kickstart the program. So let's have a word of prayer. Coach of the Black Stars of Ghana, he's the reason we're here to inaugurate his foundation. So round of applause for Coach Kwesi Appiah. Former Ghana Football Association Chairman Nana Sam Butler is also here with us. We have Mr. Emmanuel Edusa Kodie, Group Chief Executive Officer, CD. Okay. Air Vice Marshal Isifu Sakib Kadri, thank you very much for coming. His Excellency, Mr. Amakai Amatefi has just taken a seat. We'll move straight into action. We'll go for the Purpose Why program. Shall we introduce Dr. James Kwesi Appiah to the podium? Thank you very much.
The Minister, my cherished invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to Accra City Hotel this morning. It's a privilege for me to welcome you all to the inauguration of Kwesi Appiah Foundation. And as well, the Board of Trustees for this foundation. The Kwesi Appiah Foundation is an initiative I took to give back to the sports that has brought me this far. The objective of the foundation is to assist retired players and former national athletes in different ways. For this reason, dedicated a percentage of my salary in that regard. Today's inauguration of my board of journey that I hope will change many lives. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the trustees to you. This is a 5-member team including myself, and they are Mr. Nana Butler, who is the chairman of the trustees. And we have His Excellency Amaka Ametefio, who is a member of the trustees. Air Vice Marshal Isifu Kadri, also a member. Mr. Emmanuel Adu Sakodie, also a member. I think I'll leave Nana to, because they need to be introduced more, because we actually need to know who they are, what they do, and what they intend for. So I'll leave that to you. Thank you very much.
They will sign the acceptance to be the board. Vice Marshal Isifu Sakib Kadri retired. Air Vice Marshal Isifu Sakib Kadri is a retired senior Ghana Air Force officer whose exemplary leadership and the qualities over the years have shown in every appointment he has held in over 42 years with the colors. He was appointed Chief Staff Officer at the Ghana Air Force Headquarters in June 2005, and was the lead officer in August, concurrent oversight responsibility for Lebanon, Libya, and appointed Commandant of the Ghana Armed Forces and Staff College, and a member of the Board of Directors of CDH. We'll now go for the acceptance of
national team, Mr. James Kwesi Appiah, distinguished statesman and senior sports figure, and chairman of the Kwesi Appiah Foundation, Nana Sam Butler, distinguished members of the Board of Trustees of the Kwesi Appiah Foundation, members of the sports community in general and football in particular, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. I bring you warm regards from the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Kwesi Appiah MP, and he wishes for me to profusely apologize to the head coach, distinguished members of the board, for his inability to be here in person because of equally important engagements that he has to attend to. Nonetheless, he has sent me here to represent him as his Chief Messenger and Deputy Minister. On this occasion, I'd like to congratulate the head coach, Kwesi Appiah, first on his appointment as head coach of our senior national team. Your appointment, coach, brought great delight to the people of Ghana, to us as at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And in fact, I can report to you that even His Excellency the President was happy that amongst our own, amongst his people, we could find able, capable, and willing men and women who are ready and prepared to do the job. We are proud of you, and you are an able ambassador of what the Ghanaian spirit is, and we are the can-do people. I also wish to congratulate Nana Sambru Butler and the other distinguished members of the board for your selection to be part of this noble idea. Clearly, by the introductions that were done by the MC, these are overqualified persons to be in charge of this noble idea. And we at the Ministry of Youth and Sports are more than convinced that you have what it takes to ensure that the vision and the mission of the foundation is achieved. We wish you well in your work as you put your wheels to the shoulder to ensure that the vision that the coach has comes into fruition. We are delighted by the sense of patriotism that has been exhibited by the head coach of the senior national team. We have just been told that he has dedicated a certain percentage of his monthly salary towards a good cause, i.e., the upliftment particularly of ex or retired sports persons. Let me announce to you that this kind gesture of the coach coincides with government's vision of supporting retired sportsmen. We understand that facing retirement from the sporting career can be tough, but knowing what to expect can make it easier. A retired sportsman suffers from lack of structure or form. When you're an active footballer, when you're an active sportsman, you have to be in shape and form. When you retire, you begin to lose your structure. the focus that you used to have as an active sports person, you begin to lose when you retire. Your identity, the stardom that athletes enjoy, when you retire, you begin to lose. Athletes normally receive feedback, either positive or negative, from the media, from their coaches, from family, from friends, from everybody. But when you retire, and that has proven to be a major support structure for athletes. But when you retire, you lose. There's no feedback. And so mostly, and so on and so forth. We can go on. It's a long list. And so mostly, there is the basis for what you call depression for a retired sports person. They therefore need our support. Critical to the losses that retired athletes face is money. They normally make a lot of money when they are in active service. But when they retire, they do not make as much. And so, they could start getting depressed out of all of this. And the list is not exhausted. In our own country, it's a sad spectacle that most of the athletes, even at the national level, that did the country proud and raised high the flag of Ghana and built our national identity and image, regrettably, are suffering neglect. Their economic conditions are deplorable. Their support systems and structures, there are no support systems and structures. They do not even get together to share their experiences. They feel isolated. And upon assumption of office, the Honorable Minister has attempted to engage with a lot of these retired sportsmen and women. And we do appreciate at first hand the difficulties that retired sportsmen face. And that is why, as a ministry, we have started work towards the establishment of a national sports fund, a fund that we believe a part of which should be dedicated towards the maintenance and rehabilitation of retired sportsmen and women. And that is why I said that this kind and noble gesture of the head coach of the senior national team coincides with the vision of government. I use this opportunity to ask for support to the Kwesi Appiah Foundation. He cannot do it alone. Yes, a certain percentage of his salary would go to the fund, but that will be woefully inadequate looking at the sheer numbers of former sportsmen and women that we have, and looking at the enormity of challenges that confront them. As Ghanaians, we can all contribute our quota. Kitwe bienswa. If I was making I ask all of us, private businessmen, individuals, to contribute generously to the Kwesi Appiah Foundation. It's a worthy cause. It's a good cause. It has the total support and blessing of His Excellency the President, the Honorable Minister, and indeed, I dare say, the whole of Ghana. The gentleman Coach Kwesi Appiah, like you have seen, is a man of few words but a lot of action. Even in his job as coach, I ask that we support our own. He needs our prayers. He needs our support. It is a particularly difficult challenge that he has taken on board. We do believe in his capacity and the capacity of the entire technical team of the national team and the playing body to even qualify Ghana for the World Cup, even though we know that our standing today is quite precarious. It's a difficult job. We are, coach, how many points behind Egypt? 5 points behind Egypt. But we are confident in your capacity and the capacity of your technical team and the playing body to qualify us even within these trying and difficult circumstances. It is unfortunate that both you as coach and us as a ministry have inherited the situation that we face today. But that is why the best have been called to rescue the situation. The Honorable Minister remains committed, and we encourage you to do what you have to do to make this country proud again. On this note, after having said these few words, I'd like to once again congratulate you, and I thank you very much. Sports Honorable Isaac Kwame Esiama, MP. I do inaugurate and launch the Kwesi Appiah Foundation.
If you go and tell the Honorable Minister, Nilante said hi.
Distinguished national team coach, Kwesi Appiah, distinguished members of the trustees, distinguished retired national assets, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as well as the members of the media. It's indeed a pleasure to be called upon to serve our nation in another sphere. I speak for and behalf of the trustees. The confidence reposed in us and the fact that amongst many Ghanaians, we were selected. And now to myself, with humility, accept to serve as chairman, but to share that responsibility with the colleague trustees. Because if you listen to the credentials of all the trustees, members, then each one of us could have occupied that position as a chair. There are some, if we come to age, some much older, some have been in combat, some have raised funds, but I'm the David. But before I go forward and let you understand why this noble gesture from Kwesi Appiah has to be supported and why we all agreed to serve on that as trustees. And I would just use some narrations and also be factual. For a long while, Ghana had always thought the best in football coaching is from outside and expatriates. Good. And valuable sums of money has been spent on expatriates, including my tenure of office as well. Whoever and which of them paid back $1 to our nation, in spite of the amount of money that they took away? None did. And that's why we should all congratulate this gentleman. If not for anything at all, the whole nation should support him, because he's giving back a bit of what he has been endowed with. It's not because of simply that. He's also gone through the mill. When I was the chairman of the League Clubs Association, he was playing for the national team, and indeed, he was the chair. Sorry, he was the captain of the national team. When the most unfortunate incident happened in Senegal, I was there. I was not the chairman of the FA, but I was the chairman of the League Clubs Association. And I was there. I knew it all. But he was not perturbed. He moved on. He decided to go a step further into a trade and a profession that he knows. And so he went into coaching, and today you are at the apex. You have all the certificates, I believe, FIFA, and all, European, etc. One more, you will have it. So he's capable of handling a national team, but he has to depend on the whole of the country and the handfuls, Ibrahim Sundays, Kwesi Appiah, and Mr. Owusu, and the rest. We are not suggesting that you should take over his job, but please pray for him, share thoughts with him, encourage him. And that is when, and I'm sure the Air Vice Marshal will say, that if you are a leader and you draw your sword and you say charge, and your followers come, then you know that you are the true leader. But if he draws his dagger and says charge, and there's none behind him, then obviously he'll be slaughtered. So I plead with you, support him. The next point is why it is very important and we should applaud him. And I will use Reverend Sekufi as an example. I think there was a game being played. And I was at the stadium. Then I heard that there was some commotion at the gate. And what was it they said? A man had come there, wanted to come in free. And he said it was a national team player, a former national team player. But of course, I wanted to maximize at the gate and therefore also minimize on leakages. So I said, well, if he's a national team coach, a national team player, what shows that? So I interrogated it further, and I found out that it was Reverend. So I stepped out, and I went to him. He said, no, they said they don't know me. They don't know me. How? Of course, I knew him, but the younger generation didn't know him. I'm only using this to say that we could have done better. You know, we could have even procured tickets for them and paid for it. And such a fund can be used for many other things so that our retired national assets are not humiliated. And I just use that as an example. They may not know him, but does he have to go there and tell them that I'm Kwesi Appiah, XYZ? It was unnecessary because they had been neglected. I'm also delighted to hear that the government, under the auspices of the ministry, intends to revive, I'm not saying to create, to revive a scheme that at one time was implemented by this gentleman here, His Excellency He had done a similar thing. And I was then the chairman of the League Clubs Association. We thought it was a noble idea, but we're a bit reluctant. And we got even more furious when we realized that the money that we're contributing from football was not being used only for football, but to promote Azuma Nelson and others, boxing. But today, if you ask me, I would even say add basketball to it. And so I'm happy to hear and to see that it is not the foundation, it's not only going to be the exclusivity of footballers. Of course, being football people, we want to see about 80% there, right? But it's for retired sports personalities. And that I also want to congratulate the wisdom in doing that. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is only an inauguration. Therefore, we'll leave the rest for the time when we'll launch it. And as the Honorable Minister had demanded from you, support a worthy cause and ensure that people chip in. I have also created a similar thing in education and others. You know, we have amongst us a financial man, we have a lawyer, we have, and it's important also that we have 2 military officers with us. So we are well protected. Ours is to ensure, don't you go back and think that whatever has been put in tomorrow is going to be spent. It is our responsibility, ours is a responsibility to ensure that the money grows. So whatever is put in there, whatever we bring in, it's not going to be squandered because then it's finished. We would keep it there, let it grow, and what we get from the growth is what will go out. I want just to caution people. We also pledge that we will get all applications coming in well investigated and interrogated to ensure that the money is going to the right places, to help the right people, and be very transparent to the extent that we will publish whatever comes out yearly in the national dailies to know that the monies from the foundation are being well used and well managed. Thank you very much.
So what's your motive for initiating this project?
The main reason that I did this, they put up this foundation is based on the fact that whenever I'm around or I go to Kumasi or sometimes in Accra, by the time I wake up early in the morning, you find a whole lot of my playmates surrounded, you know, waiting for me. And they all come with their petty problems, you know. And I ask myself that I must be the luckiest person in this world, you know, just because these are the players that I play with, and I'm lucky to be out there, you know, earning some money. But at the end of it, it's, I see that I have a different opinion. Once you have even 10 cities and you can take care of yourself and your family, you are, for me, you are the richest person. But saying that, it's important. I also find means, you know, to help my colleague players, especially those without pension schemes and the older ones. You know, those who are around 60 years and have served the nation before. It's important we find means to also, you know, assist them, and that's how come, you know, I did put out this foundation.
Okay, so how long are you going to see this initiative sustained?
You see, once you form a foundation and you've got your trustees set up, the foundation is not yours anymore. You know, it becomes the responsibility of you and the trustees. Because, for instance, I cannot make any decision now that a penny should go here or there without, you know, consulting them. And for that reason, it's in the hands of God and the trustees.
Thank you very much, Coach. Let's shift away from the foundation and talk about Black Stars. And quickly talk about Black Stars. People are expecting that by now the list should have been out. Players, what's keeping it?
Oh, I'm surprised to hear it because I know it's been out. I think 2 days. Actually, what happens is when you finish the team, you need to give it to the FA, the Black Stars Management Committee, first before it actually goes out to the media. But the first I'm aware, I think I gave it to them about 4 or 5 days ago.
But what influenced the decision of the players you selected for this particular task?
No, I mean, normally before you make your call up, you need to, go out there and make sure your analysts, you give you information on every player. You need to also follow every player weekly to make sure that the players that you need for a particular match are invited. So every call up depends on your tactics that you need to play at a particular time. So if, for instance, I'm going to play Congo and I look at the tactics that I want to play, I would depend on that to select my players for that particular task.
Do you think we can qualify?
Nothing is impossible in the sight of God, and for that reason, the most important thing, we make sure we do our best to win all our games ahead of us and then leave the rest to God.
Finally, the local Black Stars, what are your immediate plans to revive the team?
Yeah, it's unfortunate we lost the last game. We'll be having meetings, to look at, the problems, the positives and the negatives, and then after that we can plan as to how best, we can plan ahead, So as at now, we've not had a meeting yet because we need to look at the report and everything and assess it and come out with a positive and a better team, so that we don't go through what we went through the last time.
Thank you. Chairman, quickly, let me just ask about the sustainability of this foundation, you being the chairman.
Well, let's start with the seed money and the continual contribution or support from Kwesi Appiah himself. He's the brainchild of it, and as he articulated there, his intention is to ensure that every month he puts in about 5,000, the equivalent of $5,000 as his personal contribution towards the upkeep and support of retired sports personalities. We will launch it officially, and at the launch would expect and would appeal to individuals, myself included, and the trustee members also included, to chip in something. And I think, as I said, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. We hope that by the time it is launched and the launch is over, we'll have something to write home about. That will serve as a seed money, including what he puts in monthly. That amount of money will be invested in a credible institution that we are sure will not collapse soon or anytime soon, so that the revenue or the interest thereof is what we will be using, part of it, for the objectives.
Finally, coming from the FA's perspective, you were once a former leader for the GFA. In today's program, we've not seen any official from the Ghana Football Association. Personally, are you disappointed? And then not coming to give their support to Kwesi Appiah, doing this without them, you think is the best?
Well, I was worried to see the conspicuous absence of the FA. Not even any representative from the football fraternity or the football association. I must say, was very disappointing. The coach said he had a call saying there was an executive committee meeting today, and therefore they were unable to attend. But I don't think it's a good excuse, in the sense that the minister was unavailable, but he sent somebody to stand in for him. And there are many other members of the FA. There could have been a deputy general secretary, or to come in and represent them and even come with that apology. So it's not the best. It's regrettable. That's all.
Thank you very much, sir.
At least they came with an excuse.
Thank you. What will you say about your own colleague Kwesi Appiah, his new initiative? Do you think it will help the old players?
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that he was going to launch his foundation for retired national sportsmen and women. I was highly privileged. So I called him and he explained it, and I told him that is the best he can do for his people. So this morning when I came and I saw the elderly people who are supporting him, this made me to convince that the founder will come to stay.
Okay, it will come to stay, but how well do you think this will help the old players?
That is what I just said to the minister, that this is what the government should have done before Kwesi Appiah took over. Because the sports bill was written in President Kufuor's time, up to your mama and co. And it was only last December when Honorable Neil and Debandapoy took it to the parliament for them to sign. After signing, we haven't heard anything about it. Until today that the deputy minister was saying it's in the pipeline. When it is coming out from the pipeline, we are yet to see.
Okay, Black Stars are just 7 days away to play the World Cup qualifiers. Reverend, sincerely looking at things, do you think it's even necessary for us to play at all? Do you think we can?
No, it is necessary for us to play because we were already signed with FIFA. We will be suspended if we refuse to play. And I wonder how Ghanaians are still hopeful that we can qualify. The question I ask people who say we can qualify is, if we were in the shoes of Egypt and the Black Stars, let's say Ghana was having 6 points and Egypt is having 1, what would be the reaction of Ghana? And this is what we have to. Anything at all can happen. But as I know Ghana, I know what we do before qualifying for the World Cup. It means we have to do a double against Egypt and for ourselves, which is very, very difficult to go. Well, we'll Kwesi Appiah in the hands of affairs. I don't think they are forcing him to qualify by all means. He has to go and try, which we are all praying that, let's say we win all our matches, and let's see what the Egyptians also will do, because 6-1, even Uganda is having 4. They haven't said they are going, but you are having 1. You are saying you are going. So let's start the qualifiers for us to know where we will get to before we can just come out to say whether we can qualify or not. Let's start playing for our first 2 matches before we can talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Coach Ibrahim Sunday, Renfag, before I start, how far is the association? How have you been able to help the old players so far since you are the president?
Thank you very much. I think we have we have been doing very well, as far as I know, because we have been able to give a lot of retired footballers the national health insurance for free, and even the renewal is also free. So, and we have done a lot for some of them, especially some who passed away also. We were able to visit their family and help them in our own way. But at the moment, for the past 3 years, we have been trying to, together with the GFA and the ministry, to establish a fund to support them. Because when you look at some of them, their position, their life is miserable and they need help. A lot of them could not make 2 meals a day. So, but we are doing our best, and I'm sure very soon we'll sign all the documents to be able to support them.
But how will Kwesi Appiah's launching come a long way to help the old players? You're already doing enough, but this is huge. How do you think it's going to benefit the old players?
I think it will help a lot, because personally I congratulate him for this initiative, and I think he needs support. He cannot do it alone. He needs support, and so that the future of old players or retired players or sportsmen will not be like today. It will be better, and of course a lot of retired sportsmen who do not allow their children to go into sports will now see the benefit of their effort, and that maybe we may have better sportsmen in the future.
Quick wrap on the whole program today. What do you make of it from the ministry's perspective?
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, this is a project that we endorse. We think that it's a useful project. It coincides with the vision that the Honorable Minister has. We have activated the processes towards the establishment of a national sports fund. In our calculations, we were looking at a certain percentage of the sports fund designated towards the maintenance and rehabilitation of former national sportsmen, because we do appreciate that their current situation is not the best. Their financial positions mostly are deplorable. They lack the general support structure and system that ought to exist to be able to help them transition from active participation in sports to their retirement. So this is something that we have had on the drawing board for some time. So for it to come from a private individual, especially the head coach of the senior national team, it's a good move. We believe that we can collaborate. The ministry can also reach out to the foundation and assist it, even in the meantime, whilst we still work towards establishing a national sports fund that deals with these matters as a national project.
How soon should we expect what you have on the drawing board concerning helping the old players?
Well, we are working very hard at it. We want to do it quickly, but it involves a lot of consultation. The options are varied, and we are taking time to choose the best option. We may be going by way of an act of parliament to establish a fund or we may be doing internal arrangements. So consultants are working on it. There's a technical committee that has been established by the Honorable Minister. It has been inaugurated. We have been given 6 months within which to work on all these things, and work is fast progressing. So within the shortest possible time, we should begin to see the outcome of the work of the technical committee.
We have a lot of activities upcoming, the sports festival and a whole lot of things. Concerning the tracks, let me move you away from football a bit. Let's do athletics. Concerning the tracks and renovations and everything, Minister said it, but as of now we can't hear anything. Developmentally, we are not seeing anything. What's going on?
Well, we are seeing some work happening. You will know that the National Sports Festival, for instance, died off. For over 6 years, we haven't had a National Sports Festival. And the National Sports Festival has been the grooming grounds for sports talents. And a lot of our national sports talents have been recruited from the National Sports Festival. And acts, field and track events are a major part of the National Sports Festival. Athletics is a major part, boxing is a major part, and so on and so forth. So over the last 6 years, this have not been happening. This year, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister and the National Sports Authority, we have, as it were, brought back the National Sports Festival, and it is going to happen very soon. Beyond that, we are working with the various associations and federations towards local development, and we are arranging funding. We are looking at their calendar. We are insisting that there should be a 4-year local development plan that every federation should have, and we are working at all of this. We are meeting the federations. We are getting them to understand that we need to develop the game more and more, rather than the promotion, traveling here and there, engaging in this competition and that competition, and mostly not being able to bring back many laurels and medals, as it were. We believe that we should focus more on development. So we are working closely with the federations, and let me use the opportunity to appreciate the work of the federations. They are beginning to understand the vision that the Honorable Minister and the Ministry has, and very soon we will see that a lot of the federations are working more at development rather than promotion.
Is the Ministry disappointed at the performance the athletes put out there in London? Because we didn't hear you comment on.
Well, of course, our inability to win any medals at the just ended IAAF was quite disappointing. But all of this boils down to preparation, which boils down to development of the game. And so we are not throwing up our hands in despair. We encourage the athletes not to give up. In sports, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. We have lost this time. We should need to go back to the drawing board and develop ourselves more, and expose our athletes to the current trends in these sports, and so on and so forth. So we believe that, well, it's quite disappointing, but it's a learning curve. We all need to come back home now and get back on the drawing board and make sure that we do what we have to do to be able to win. You don't win these things out of luck. You win them out of deliberate policy and deliberate program. So we should begin to draw these programs and follow them strictly, so that we can begin to win laurels.
Finally, the Black Stars are just 7 days away from playing their World Cup qualifiers. Your general impression and your expectations?
Well, our expectation, like I said, is that we should win and qualify for Russia. Admittedly, we are in a precarious position. It's difficult, but not impossible. We believe that the coach and the technical team and the playing body can do it. We should support them and pray for them, and we expect to hear only good news when we engage with our Congolese counterparts in the coming days.